obviously, big question kind of coming into the season is the receiver room. Just really
Yep.
seen from their progression for the fall.
A lot of competition in that room, and as a collective group, just hardworking guys, and a lot of them are making a lot of good plays and doing a lot of good things. And so, really, what sticks out is the competitive nature of that group. We have a lot more people that are rotating in. I feel better about a lot of those guys. So, what I think you can look forward to is a lot more people playing in games. We're deeper there than we've been, deep in a way where, I feel very comfortable with looking out there and seeing a whole lot of different people out there. And so I'm excited about that.
And speaking of, just two of the guys that stood out, at least to me in camp, have been the freshmen, Malachi Tony and Josh Moore. How have you seen them grow, and where do you think they stand kind of, a couple weeks before the season starts?
I think they're doing a great job. I'm not going to sit here and talk about where people stand, but I've been impressed with those guys. As much impressed with their mentality as anything. It's a very low drama group that supports each other, and they work hard. And the one thing that I like to see is they're more excited when somebody else makes a play. So if we can keep that theme going, I think you'll see a lot of guys rotate in there, and when it's their opportunity, they'll make the play. And having competition and having a lot of guys take reps with the first couple groups creates an atmosphere where, hey, when it's my time, I better take advantage of it. And it really has been that way. So I'm excited about that group.
Shannon, when you're talking about what you're talking about is, rotating guys in and things like that, maybe different than a year ago. Is that how you envision the season kind of going? Or would you, as opposed to maybe narrowing it down at some point?
No, I do. I think the season's going to go. Now, I'm not Nostradamus. I can't tell you exactly how it's going to go. But if I had to guess right now, I would tell you that we're going, my whole purpose right now is to get that group to where at the end of games, middle of the season, and end of the season, we're healthy and we're hitting on all cylinders. And so to do that, I think, splitting time with guys and rolling people where we're fresh the whole game, we always have fresh legs out there, is key. It's vital. Now, the big part of that is I got to trust the people that go on the field, and that's their part too. They have to take ownership of the fact that, if there isn't a level of trust there, then I won't get my opportunity. But I will say right now, there is a level of trust with a lot of guys. And so we have a lot of camp left, and so we'll see how it goes leading up to the first game. But as the season goes, I would think you would be excited to see how guys are going to rotate in and get opportunities at that position.
How was Carson look now you're 3 weeks into him being able to be in practice, throw and whatnot? How have you seen him, his command of the offense, his command of the huddle? What have you seen from him over these 3 weeks?
It shows that he's played a lot of football. I don't know exactly how many games he's played in, but he's played in a ton. Not going through spring, you kind of, you're waiting to see when camp starts, because you go through an injury and you come back, you don't go through spring. So when you get out there, when it's truly 11 on 11, not the player-led stuff that we do in the summer, you're very curious in how that's going to go, right? The rapport of him with the receivers. And it really didn't miss a beat. Like his arms, look, he can throw the football at an elite level. His mentality of the game is different because of how much he's played and how much he's been around the game and how much he's seen. The way he goes about things is very professional, and he really takes ownership of the details of playing quarterback in the sense of like protections and points, mic points, and changing stuff. So it's been good to have him, and really as this camp went, it's really growing together, to be honest with you, and seeing exactly what he likes to do and how his brain works. Because that's the biggest part of it. When you get guys like that, you're trying to figure out, okay, what do they love to do, and what's the atmosphere they love to play in, and let's try to mold everything around it so we can create an offense that fits his skill set.
Along those lines, every year I know you evolve and do certain things to fit your personality. lot. Would you say maybe compared to last year with Kim, or this year you've done more so in terms of this is what it's going to look like than normal?
I thought we did a bit of that last year. When we took Cam last year, sitting down and trying to figure out like exactly how his mind works for the game, what he likes to do. Our offense obviously looked different. There were some things we did that we didn't do the year before. I don't know what percent I would put on that, but there was a fair amount of stuff that we didn't do that we did because of his comfort level. I would say with Carson, it's probably about the same percentage. Like there was things that he felt really comfortable with, and we didn't necessarily have exactly that, or didn't have it organized exactly the same way, is the right way to put it. And so there are definitely things that we're doing now that we didn't do before, but I don't know if that's any different year to year, to be really honest with you. I think you spend a lot of time in the off season figuring out what you do well, but also studying a lot of teams out there from the NFL and college that like do some things that might fit into ours. Now, a lot of the stuff you watch, you don't incorporate because there is a tipping point of just too much stuff, right? But then there's like these handful of things that you say, man, that really does fit what we do in our personnel. If we can make it make sense to our guys and understand the process. And there has been a handful of that stuff that I'm excited to see, to be honest with you.
Every player's going to make mistakes in practice. What's Carson's response like when he does make mistakes, whether it's in practice or after practice when you're going over things?
He's hard on himself. You know, he really is. I mean, he's a perfectionist in a way where like when he does something that's, you know, that he knows he could do better. I mean, I don't really have to say anything to him. He's probably harder on himself than anything because he'll beat himself up over a throw he missed or whatever. But that's his way, you know, the more I get to know him, and that's just his way of motivating himself and his way of like auto-correcting himself. And everybody's got a different process, you know. And so, but he is a perfectionist, and whenever he doesn't like execute the way he thinks he can execute, he will be hard on himself, but he snaps out of it pretty quick. That's a very quick, like, you know, conversation he has with himself, and he gets over it and he plays the next play. So
how do you feel like the explosive element has been with the offense in general during camp?
I think it's good. I mean, I think we have a lot of guys that can stretch the field. And I do feel good about our ability to attack down the field. You know, our defense doesn't necessarily, you know, they do a good job of minimizing explosive plays, I will say that. And so a lot of our explosive plays are stuff that gets caught underneath and guys make plays, you know. But we do have, and like he was asking, I mean, I do think we have a receiver room full of guys that you get them the ball in space and they can make a guy miss, you know. And so that's exciting to see.
And looking at the tight ends, it seems like there's, you know, a group of guys that have a few different skill sets,
Yeah.
I guess. How do you anticipate being able to utilize, I guess, you know, either multiple tight end sets or you're kind of mixing and matching, you know, where you want to line people up? I mean, obviously you don't have to go into the exact strategy for every game, but how do you anticipate using all of them?
Well, I mean, look, all those guys can do what we ask them to do. And so it's not really as much of, hey, like I got to figure out these few sets of plays that you're good at. Those guys are good at executing the blocking schemes that we ask them to execute, and more importantly, they're good in space. You know, I think that's the issues you have with tight end when it's kind of the opposite, where they're really good at blocking, but they're not really good in space. And so then you got to really think about what you do with them. With these guys, you know, they're really good in space and they can execute the blocking stuff. So I really don't even think about the play I'm calling with them out there. You know, they can execute it, and they're good route runners. So I line those guys up. I mean, much like we did last year, you're going to see a lot of the same stuff as far as where they line up. They can line up anywhere. They can line up, you know, obviously in alignment with the tackle. They can line up at receiver at multiple positions. So feel comfortable with those guys.
With Martin Brown, just now you've seen him for about 3 weeks in person. Just what stands out on him? What do you think he adds to that running back room? And the fact that he has championship experience from last year, how much do you think that can help you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the selling point with him. Really, is, you know, his mentality and bringing that physical nature to the group. I mean, he's used to playing in a place that has a championship culture, you know, that do things a certain way, and that's exactly what culture we have. So it wasn't a big stretch for him to come in here and abide by the culture that's been set by Coach Cristobal. So he's a very steady guy. I mean, he is very steady with everything he does. He doesn't talk a lot, but he's very coachable, and he's built in a way that is very hard to tackle, which is good. I don't know if you've been around him, but like, he's built in a way where you better get your pads low, because he's hard to bring down.
What have you seen from Lyle during camp, Jordan Lyle?
I mean, the same thing I've been seeing with him all along. I mean, he's a really talented dude that's going to have a great career here, and he's going to play a lot of football, you know, and he does. I mean, he's got a good grasp of the offense. I mean, the thing about running backs and incorporating them into offenses is more so with protections, you know, and he has a really strong grasp of that, and his instincts and ability with the ball in his hand are what they are, you know. He has a high ability to make people miss when they flash in front of him. Maybe somebody comes free, he can make something out of nothing.
Part of the rotation at receiver that you're talking about, how much of that, obviously you have guys that you're comfortable with playing, but also how much of that is they each have different strengths and they can bring something different to what you want to do?
Well, right now I really don't think about that as much as I would whenever we start preparing for games. Because when we start preparing for games, there will be a handful of stuff that we do in a game that, I mean, hey, this kid's really good at this, so let's make sure that he's in those positions to get those plays. Now, how many of that will be in a game plan? Probably a handful, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 plays where you're like, you star them and be like, look, man, that dude right there needs to be in the game for that play, you know. But right now in camp, I really don't think about it. You know, I will be lying to you if there wasn't like times at practice where I throw a kid in there at Z because I know like the play that I'm about to call. So it happens organically sometimes at practice. It'll happen more when you prepare for games.
With Malachi Tony, you know, assume you tell me, but it seems like slot, you got to be able to read coverages a lot in your offense. His ability to, has he shown an advanced ability to do that as a young freshman?
I would say he has an advanced ability to do that.
Is that rare? I mean, is it rare that?
It's pretty rare. I mean, he understands football, understands spacing, he's very calm, and you know, he has a skill set that fits that position because, like you said, that position has a lot to do with, you know, especially if it's zone coverage, you got to really feel space and feel like who's guarding you. In man coverage, it's all about, you know, the leverage of man and versus the route you're running. But I will say, I mean, you know, I know everybody talks about Mally a lot. Those other two guys are making a lot of plays there too. You know, Ray's really playing well. Tony's really playing well too. And so, you know, competition is key. And I think that's part of the reason why people are elevating their game is because at this situation in time here, we have guys behind them that if you have a bad day, then, you know, you might not be going out there as much with that first group as you've been going out there, you know. So that's the biggest motivating factor in our job. You know, I can't motivate somebody more than a guy behind them with equal talent can motivate them. And that's just been the way for 100 years.
This might be hard to answer.
3 more questions if you have.
This will be a 3-part question. This might be hard to answer, but
I don't know if everybody got that.
are there you know, maybe 2 or 3 guys that jumped up most, quote unquote, surprised you the most from spring to fall with their development and what they're showing they can help the offense do this year?
I'm sure there is. Now, am I going to tell you those 3 guys? No.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, I'm very, you know, we can sit here and I mean, we talk about receivers, this and that. I mean, the core of our offense is the 5 guys up front. You know, that's what makes everything go. I mean, if you can't protect like we can protect, and you know, that was one of the things Carson said early in camp. He said, man, I got to get used to all this time, you know. And so, but those guys do a really good job, which makes offensive football, it makes your ability to execute higher. And so everything builds around them out. Now, I mean, they'll be the first to tell you that they're tired of people talking about them, they're ready to play ball. But I can't sit here and have a press conference without saying that, look, man, those 5 guys are they've played a lot of football, and it's not just 5 guys, it's like 8, right, or more. I mean, and so, everything they do is the heartbeat of what we do, and so everybody around them kind of morphs into their personality, toughness, physicality, and all the rest. And so I'm excited about that group, and I'm excited about the people around them that everybody's talking about, but I can't sit up here for 10 minutes and not throw the big boys a bone, because I love those guys.
With one of the guys, Inez Cooper.
Yeah.
They're going to start here to start just from when you first got here to where you are, where he is now. Just what's been the biggest growth? What's been the biggest area of development you've seen in Inez Cooper?
Probably just leadership. He's always been a really good player, physical player. He's really an outspoken guy in our room, and I appreciate the leadership position that he has niched out for himself, and I do think that he's going to have that for a long time. But he is the guy that when he talks, everybody listens, and he's earned that role because of the way he's played the game, as long as he's played the game. And so, I appreciate his voice at times.
Your backup quarterbacks, how are they coming along?
They're coming along good. I mean, I think that, I think I got the best quarterback room in the nation, and I might be a little crazy. I mean, obviously I'm biased a little bit, but Emery's playing really, really well, and he's taking a lot of snaps, and the young guys are really, doing really good things too. Now, will they make a bonehead deal every now and again? Yeah, they will, and that's my job to kind of level that out a little bit. But they show spurts of like doing some really, really good things, really talented guys. And so, and that room is the same that we talk about the receiver room. I mean, that room elevates itself a lot of times by the way other people play.
Specifically, just to follow up on that, I think I can't look and see, but with Judd, it seems like he's grown a lot over the last.
He really has. He really has. I think that, from spring till now, the summer has helped him a whole lot, and I think he's shown probably as much growth as anybody through that course of time, And so he just needs to, especially with young quarterbacks. I mean, it's just reps are so precious, they really are. I mean, you see guys like Carson and Emery have both taken a lot of reps, and you can tell. Carson's played in a lot of games, and Emery's played in some, not as much, but you can tell just the level of experience with just practice reps and games. All that stuff matters, and so quarterbacks grow all at a different speed, to be honest with you. Some of them come in a little bit more accelerated, but reps and experience are crucial to those guys.